Start with Mike B. He says, I know you aren't a huge Halo fan, but are you planning on getting Halo 4? I am, actually. You're right, I'm not a huge Halo fan, but they seem to have grown on me a little bit, especially with Reach. I really, really liked Halo Reach a lot, more than I ever expected to. So I am looking forward to Halo 4 and everything I've seen of it from E3 and everything. It's looking like it's going to be finally my kind of game. Panda Wad asks, what do you think about the Nintendo GameCube console? Well, that's going back a little bit, not super back, but I actually loved the GameCube. I know a lot of people didn't, but I thought it had some super great games. It had Animal Crossing, Eternal Darkness. It also had one of my favorite Smash Brothers. Of course, it's got Mario Party, Mario Kart. What were some of the other really good ones? Mario Sunshine. How can I forget that? Mario Sunshine is one of my favorite Mario games. Also gave us Pikmin, Luigi's Mansion, which I absolutely adore as well. The GameCube, and Wind Waker. I was one of the people that loved Wind Waker. A lot of people hated it. I adored it from the get-go. It's so much better than the Zelda games we've had on the Wii. So, yeah, I loved the GameCube. Mike K says, are you a fan of Monty Python? If not, why do you like Monty Python? I am not a Monty Python fan. I know, I'm going to get so much crap for it. That's just not my kind of humor. Nobody's going to get offended. They're not making dead baby jokes. I like really offensive and dark humor. I like humor that most people find offensive. And if someone's not getting offended in the humor, then chances are I'm not going to find it funny. That style of humor, that kind of like, oh boy, I just stubbed my toe, everybody's gonna laugh. That's not funny to me. It's situational. Some of it was sketch comedy. I hate sketch comedy, and like I just said, I hate situational comedy. I just find that stuff cheesy and stupid. Matt2290910 says, as you said in a video in the past, you're into survival horror games. So saying that, have you ever been into any of the Resident Evil games, and not the new ones, but you liked the older ones? I am one of the few people that like both Resident Evils. I adore back in the old school survival horror Resident Evil, but I also do like the new school kind of fast-paced action shooter Resident Evil. Resident Evil was never one of my favorite survival horrors. That always goes to Silent Hill or Fatal Frame. I wouldn't really classify new Resident Evil as survival horror, but I am looking forward to Resident Evil 6 because I like the idea of combining both gameplay elements. From what I've played in it, both gameplay elements and both controls aren't as good as what I expect they would be, but then again, which game has been the biggest disappointment to you as of recently? I'm going to have to go with both Heavy Rain and LA Noire. Both I thought were marketed poorly. I'm not saying they're bad games, but for what they were marketed as, that's not what the kind of game we got. And for Heavy Rain, I felt it needed actually more gameplay elements instead of just an interactive movie, and where the story and the characters weren't even that solid. And then for LA Noire, it was marketed completely different than what the game was, and I found the gameplay to be almost sluggish and kind of boring. Let's talk about Gears of War 3! Well, let's keep it as spoiler-free as possible. So don't worry, I'm not going to be spoiling anything for you guys out there who haven't played this yet. But seriously, why haven't you played this yet? It's great. Gears of War 3 is obviously the third in the Gears of War series. Now, the story is a little easier to follow. It's not so convoluted as Gears of War 2. But still, the story is not the main attraction in the Gears of War games, at least not to me. The story, it needs a little oomph, you know what I'm saying? But the gameplay definitely makes up for it. Some of my favorite things about Gears of War 3 is definitely the environments. Now, as I say that, I'm not saying that the graphics are great. The environments are great. Like, everything going on in the background, beautiful. Especially the level with the burning ship. Just absolutely beautiful. But all the graphics, like in the foreground, stuff that you're actually supposed to be able to walk up to or touch, or anything that's in your immediate view, not so good. I mean, some of them look really bad, especially the ground. There are a lot of times I played it through. At most times I was playing it through with 2 other players, sometimes 3, so we had 4 co-op. And we'd be looking out on this beautiful vista, but it would ruin the shot because you'd have this branch coming down across how you're looking out of the vista, and the branch looked awful. So the bad graphics kind of overshadow the great graphics, and it makes the great graphics just a little bit not as good, and the good graphics make the bad graphics stand out even more, if that makes any sense. One of my favorite things in this co-op is definitely the fact that you can play 4-player, but also being able to change weapons and trade out your loadout with other co-op members, even if it's an NPC character. If you're playing with 2 other people and you've got one NPC running around, you can walk up to them and actually trade weapons with them, which is great, especially when you're out of ammo. Another one of my favorite things about Gears of War 3 is getting back to the graphics is the change of environments and locations is so much more than in the past 2 games. Gears of War 2, I think you spent like 95% of your time underground, which made the environments and the levels feel very stale after just a short while, because you're just underground, under rubble so much. Gears of War 3 finally looks like they've found greens, they've found blues, and they found more vibrant reds, because it actually, those colors make each different environment have like its own personality. That sounds really weird. The environment has personality. You know what I'm saying though. It gives it just that special thing that would be missing in just an all brown, black and white environment. Another thing I love about Gears of War 3 is definitely the change of gameplay styles every now and then. You'll get around to be doing something different, like you are in the back of a truck, shooting stuff behind you, which all the other past 2 games did, and probably the best was the underwater level. But the only problem with that is those were so short. Like, anytime you got on the back of a truck or on this, it was almost like a big elevator going down this path, or a time you're riding on a zip line and you're able to shoot off the zip line, those really lasted maybe 2 minutes at the most, which I could have definitely gone for having those last a little bit longer, because the short amount of time they did last was a lot of fun. I did wish that while playing co-op, I would be able to have the option of changing my character. I mean, if I'm playing with 1 other person or 2 other people, or even 3 other people, and I want to change the character I am, I thought it would make just a lot more sense if I could just walk up and switch characters, just like, a lot of other co-op games allow that. And this one really didn't, which was disappointing. I always ended up being like Coltrane, or what was the new guy's name? Jace, I think his name was. Only a few times I got to be the females, but let me talk about the female characters. Now, Anya, of course, is awesome, but the other female, the new female, Sam, who's voiced by Claudia Black, who is Chloe from Uncharted 2. First of all, it kept messing me up, because every time I heard her, I heard Chloe. Same dialect, same inflection of voice, same accent, it was just pure up Chloe. If you're going to be voicing a different video game character, change your voice up just a little bit so it doesn't sound like I'm playing another game. One of my things is you never want to be playing one developer's game but thinking about somebody else's game. That's bad, developers, that's bad. But also, the character skin for Sam and Anya. All they did for Sam was they made her darker skin and gave her brown hair instead of blonde. Other than that, it was the complete same female character, just repainted, which I found a little lazy. Probably, though, one of my biggest problems with Gears of War 3 is remember that whole Carmine must die or save Carmine thing they had going on? People were buying stickers, they were voting, they were wearing t-shirts, and Gears really didn't touch upon that at all. You only saw Carmine, I believe, in the first chapter, only in that first act, chapter, whatever they call it. He was in there, and then at the end, and again, I'm going to keep this spoiler free. I'm not going to tell you, what